about fundraising, there are two things to consider. One, how confident you feel with your communication skills, and two, how ready your organisation is to fundraise. You can take a look at our video on fundraising techniques to assess your personal confidence. But here we're going to take a look at your organisation. Let's start by looking at your organisational structure. Here's an example of a typical charity.
Your trustees sit with responsibility to govern the charity. They're required by law to make sure the charity meets the criteria set by the Charity Commission, to make sure your accounts are submitted, and that you abide by charity law and do the best by your beneficiaries. Feeding into your trustees may be a director or chief executive of the charity. They often take responsibility for setting the direction of the organisation, ensuring there are enough funds to deliver the services, and feedback to trustees on how objectives are being met. There will usually be a team responsible for delivering the charity's services, such as offering treatment to disabled children, improving environmental behaviour, or researching treatments for cancer. There may be someone responsible for your marketing and external messaging, someone responsible for your HR, employee contracts, performance, and keeping a happy workforce, someone responsible for finance, setting budgets, managing cash flow, payroll, and accounts. There may also be individuals responsible for all the legal and insurance aspects of your work. And if you campaign to change public perception of an issue or lobby government, then you may also have a campaigns or policy team. And let's not forget those responsible for fundraising. This role or team may cover voluntary income, also known as donations, as well as trading or earned income that comes from the sale of goods or services. If you're a smaller organisation, you'll find that one person does several of these roles. And if you're a little bit larger as an organisation, you might find that there are teams in each of these departments where people take subdivisions of the work.
But what importance do these individuals have for fundraising? Well, let's take another look at our director or chief exec, who's usually responsible for having written a business plan for the organisation. This states what you plan to do as a charity, when and how and what it will cost. Now, without this document and buy-in from your chief exec into the importance of well-resourced fundraising, it will make donations very difficult. Supportive senior management will familiarise themselves with the timescales involved in fundraising to understand how long it can take to bring funds in, how different fundraising techniques work, and the return on investment you can expect for each of your donor groups. Most importantly, they will understand the difference that can be expected between ad hoc attempts at fundraising and strategised fundraising plans, delivered by trained fundraising personnel. And they'll sign off on how much they're willing to invest in fundraising. Likewise, your trustees, who may be responsible for developing the business plan in smaller organisations, need to have the same clarity and buy-in to fundraising efforts. And if a business plan is essential to showing you what you need to fundraise for, then the service delivery team are essential to being able to show your donors what outcomes you've successfully achieved and where and why you may not have reached some of your other targets.
They will also need to give you access to the services so you can prepare a description of the work your organisation does. Your job will be to make sure the language is jargon-free and emotive to really engage your donors. They'll also need to be prepared to give some of your donors access to the services, to show them the work that they fund or the difference they could make if they're prospective donors.
Having your marketing personnel on board with fundraising will mean you can ask for gifts in all the relevant promotional material that they might produce, and that your events and activities become a part of their schedule, and that they can help to give you the public exposure you might need. Your HR team will have the job descriptions for roles that you have to fund and keep employee policies for things like working with children and young people that you will often be required to demonstrate in funding applications. Your relationship with the finance person or team is also essential to being an effective fundraiser.
They are a key part of helping to monitor funds into the charity and perhaps even applying for gift aid. You also rely on their accounts and record keeping being sound and consistent so that you are credible when you have to submit accounts to funders. The person taking responsibility for your legal compliance will also want to make sure that you have lawyers look at contracts with all your contractors for events and give you support to make sure as a charity you're compliant with legislation such as data protection and health and safety. And as a fundraiser, your responsibilities will vary according to the kinds of fundraising that you decide to do. Who do you need to bring together in your organisation to help you? And what are the key areas you want to work on? Why not take a look at the rest of our videos now to help you on your way?